Hello, this is IP Stories by 4IP Council, a podcast about innovation and intellectual property. Join us and you'll hear about the journeys through invention, creation, and IP understanding of our guests.
I'm Marta.
And I'm Fernanda, and today we're happy to welcome to our podcast Pascale Redig. Pascale, thank you so much for having this chat with us. First of all, could you tell our listeners about yourself and your career?
Thank you, Marta and Fernanda, for inviting me to this podcast. Of training, I'm a biologist. I did my PhD at the University of Antwerp and did an additional master in molecular biology. After that, I took a postdoc position in a biotech company and did very applied research, and then came back to the university where somehow, in some way, I got into tech transfer. So it was not intentionally, it happened all quite by accident. I started together with two colleagues at the University of Ghent. We started the tech transfer office. And later on, I repeated this exercise at the University of Antwerp, where I started again the tech transfer office. When I was working in Antwerp, I had a lot of contact with the pharmaceutical company, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, and in that way got connected to the people there, and they were looking for somebody to negotiate contracts with academia. And so I switched sides, and I went to work there for, I think, about 8 years. But then, my first love, the university, it became very strong again. So I went back to KU Leuven, which is one of the one of the biggest tech transfer office on the European mainland. And now I'm there working as a senior IP officer.
Thank you, Pascal. So I'm very curious. After studying biology, what attracted you to IP?
Well, it's difficult to say because it was not an active choice to become a tech transfer officer. But somehow, once I got started doing it, I felt that this was really what I was good in, and I wanted to keep on doing it. So it was not an active choice. There was no training at the university for this. In our university at this moment, in the doctoral schools, all students get trained in IP and tech transfer. But in my days, this did not happen. But when I was doing this postdoc position at this company, I did already very applied research. So for me, I was really interested in getting the research results into a product. So I think that was a bit the underlying motivation to start a career in tech transfer.
Great. So, as IP officer at KU Leuven, research and development, what do you think should be the roles of IP in universities?
I think there is an important role for IP in universities, because if you really want to create an impact with your research results, you have to protect, in many sectors, you have to protect your IP. Otherwise, it's not possible, because the further development work takes an investment of many millions. So you need hard IP to really come to a product. So I think it's an important point. It's not an easy thing to do at a university, because of course your researchers are trained in a different way. So it's really not always an easy task to get the IP protected. Yeah.
Yes, I see. And I would like also to know, I'm curious to know, what have you seen as the main misconceptions of researchers when it comes to IP?
Well, they think it's either they protect their IP or they publish, and they think it's one or the other. But that's a misconception. They also think when they do more applied research, the value of their publications is less, and that is also a misconception, because there has been quite some research on that topic, and it has proven that it is not. They believe if they do, there are still some researchers who believe if they work together with a company, that is research of lesser value, of a lesser quality. And that is really a misconception. Yeah. So by training and by showing and showcasing successful collaborations, we can convince our researchers that there is value in protecting your IP and in working together with industry.
Thank you for making that clear. I think that is a misconception. I've been working with IP for the last few years, and I also believe that is a misconception. I'm not exactly in the field, but we can see sometimes when we have a chat with researchers that this is a struggle.
The researchers are also trained in a different way. They are trained to disseminate. And if you want to protect your IP for a limited period, you cannot disseminate it. You have to keep it a secret. Otherwise, you lose the patent rights. Not the patent rights, you lose the ability to apply for a patent. And that needs some training. With the researchers, but we are quite successful at our university. So it's all a matter of making researchers aware and training them.
Yeah, it's all about the mindset.
Yeah.
I was wondering, what is, in your opinion, the main struggle of an inventor or researcher when having to integrate IP into their work process?
Well, it's mainly the publication strategy. And so now they are in a habit of publishing immediately. As soon as they find something interesting, they want to publish it. They want to talk to their colleagues of other universities on that topic. So that is something that you have to train them to that they should restrain themselves until
Mhm.
that they think they have enough results, and then we can file a patent. And after that, of course, they are free to discuss. But for some time period, they have to keep it to themselves. And also, if they want to co-develop something with another university, we have to put the right agreements in place. So
Right.
they're still allowed, or to make arrangements on how we will then file together for a patent, etc. So it they are used to have quite a lot of freedom, and we ask them to work in a somehow different way, but then afterwards again they have all the freedom they need.
Absolutely. And I think it's all about containing your excitement of sometimes discovering something new and wanting
Yeah.
to put it out there.
Yes, and especially with social media, you have certain groups who also want to put everything on certain sites, etc. And they don't always see that as a publication, but it is a publication, and it can, and in this way they can lose their potential to file for patent rights.
I understand that intellectual property plays a significant role, especially in the life sciences and biotechnology sectors. Could you tell our audience, in your own words, why IP is so crucial in these specific fields?
I think in life sciences and biotech, the IP strategy is really a very important step towards valorization, and it's very important in the entire strategy of the company. So it's really important to protect it, because quite some heavy investments are needed to come from the original idea towards a new drug on the market. So I think IP there is the primary driver in those sectors. So it's important, if there is no IP, they will not invest in it. They will not make these million. I don't know. For example, a phase 1 study. I think it's around 4 million. A phase 2 study around 12. A phase 3 around 20 million. So it are really large amounts that need to be invested. They will not make that investment if they are not sure that they have for some period the exclusivity in the market. So if you want to collaborate with companies in that sector, or you want your result in the end to end up in a new drug that can help the patients, you have to take the necessary measures at the beginning of your research and try to protect whatever you can.
Pascal, I have another question for you. So I would like to know, what do you see as the main benefits of fostering public-private collaborations within universities for the purpose of research and development?
I think it's really it offers opportunities to the university for additional research funds, opportunities to do a different type of research, a more applied research. It gives opportunities to create an impact. It's also very important for the students that students get trained and they are already in contact with companies. They see how they work there. It's easier to make the transition towards a company. So I think by working together with industry, you can create a special environment. You can create additional choices and opportunities for the researchers.
And what has been your experience collaborating and negotiating with the private sector?
I think there's an important role for the universities as regional innovators and to support local SMEs in their technological challenges. But also, SMEs are most difficult to negotiate with because they don't always have the in-house knowledge on IP, and it's not always easy to explain to them. So that can be quite a challenge sometimes to negotiate. It's easier with the larger companies because they have their legal departments, they understand the legal framework better, so it's easier to negotiate with them. But then always the negotiation is okay. We have something, you want to have it, how much are you going to give to us? How can we share in the potential success of a product? So that is always quite challenging to find um, a good arrangement that if so they have all the opportunities to commercialize it, that we don't put a heavy burden on them so they won't be able to commercialize it, but then if they're successful, that there is still something coming back to us. So that is quite challenging, and each sector has its own way of working. So what you do in the farm sector, you cannot negotiate in let's say when it's electronics or it's materials. So yeah, it's quite a challenge to do that. Yeah.
And I would like to know as well, and this is more of a private question, also because you have such a unique profile. I would like to know throughout your career and life, what has been the biggest challenge that you had to face?
The biggest challenge I had to face. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it in the beginning it was a bit strange because I was a scientist and I was always at the bench or in the field because in the end I did more agricultural related research, and then to go to what in the end is a more well, it's not an administrative function, but more completely different type of work. So in the beginning that was a challenge, but I think it's very rewarding. It's really nice when you help create a new company, a new spin-off company, or you help negotiate a big license deal, and you know that maybe if everything goes well in 10 or 15 years, there's a new drug that can help patients. I find it very rewarding to be in a more applied way of looking at research and making your research work for the community. So that I think is a really, for me, the rewarding aspects of my job. Yeah.
So I would just like to jump in and say that in Fortpi Council we have a dedicated section to SMEs where we put easy to digest content about intellectual property rights. We're gonna leave a link to the website and go ahead and access if you want to learn more about IP. You mentioned a little bit of the administrative side of the job, and I was wondering why you were director of research and development with the Global Government Grants Office at Janssen Pharmaceutical. How your negotiation skills helped you? Would you have any advice for our listeners?
So at the end, I was a director in the Global Government Grant Office. That was an office within the J&J organization where they applied for government funding grants. So that was always, not always, but in many cases together with academic partners. So what we then had to do is to negotiate agreements to come to an arrangement how together we would do that research. And yeah, there is quite a different culture in a company and in a university, so it's not always easy. There are different expectations, and you need some insights in that, and also some negotiation skills to bring those expectations together and to make it move forward in a quick way. Because some of the negotiations can be quite lengthy, but yeah, you have the grant, you're under time pressure, and you have to come to an agreement quite soon. So that yeah, it needs quite some talking and some negotiations to come to a successful project.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think working with a team, sometimes legal team together with the
Yeah,
researchers and everyone together, it could be quite challenging, I
challenging. Yeah,
believe. Yeah.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Now, speaking a little bit about the future, what do you believe are the next challenges for the life and science fields in terms of IP policies?
So I think what is quite challenging for the future is this movement we see where they want equitable access to healthcare. So we understand that, and now there is this movement that asks universities to negotiate that in their contracts. And I think that is a very difficult thing to do because you have to imagine at our universities, we have our researchers, they make a new invention. It has the potential to become a new drug. We have to look for partners who believe in it the way we believe in it. It's not easy. It's not easy to partner with industry. When we then finally find a partner, we have to tell him, okay, you can have a license, but you need equitable access and you cannot sell it for more than this, and you cannot do this and you cannot do that. That's a very difficult position they are trying to put the universities in. We are already very lucky that we find a partner. If it then is up to us to make sure that in the end there is an equitable access to certain drugs, it is difficult. I think this is more a task of the government to do so and not of the universities. Of course, what we often do in our agreements, depending on the type of research and the type of drug we're developing, we do negotiate very often access for people from low and middle income countries, that this should be at really a low price, etc. But to do that for, let's say, Europe or the US, that is very difficult for us to negotiate. It's almost impossible. So this is something that is really a hot topic at this moment. And yeah, we have to see how we can all collaborate to make it happen. But to put this on the shoulders of the universities, I think that's going to be quite a challenge.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. It seems like a huge challenge, definitely. Um, I would like to know, because we are reaching the end of the interview, although I still have a couple of questions in my sleeve. I would like to know if there is like one learning or a few things that you have learned from your career that you would like to share with new generations of researchers.
I think it's very important to always keep an open mind and to also try to understand the other side. Working together with the collaboration between industry and academia are two different cultures, and it's important to understand the issues at the other side and to see how you can then collaborate. It's easier to say no than to say yes and to make it happen. So my motto is always I'm trying to make it happen. I'm trying to understand what the problem is and how we can overcome it. And while there is still a win-win position for both parties, I think that has always been my motto to drive my projects forward. So I think
Mhm.
keep an open mind. I think that's and look for opportunities for collaboration, and you'll get a reward afterwards, I think.
Yes, I think that's a great message. And finally, I would like to know if there is any project that you would like to share with us, anything that you are currently working on or at the university.
I think this year we will have already I think already 4 new spin-off companies. So we're really very active. So we're really working hard to bring all that knowledge that's developed to the market. We're also currently discussing with some companies some very nice deals to also turn our technology into products. I cannot say too much about it because it's all still confidential. But yeah, we're working hard, and once the deal has been finalized, we usually make a press release. So if you follow us, you can read all about our new achievements. Yeah.
Pascal, thank you so much for having this chat with us. It has been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and I really enjoyed it.
Have a lovely day. Bye bye.
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 Thank you for listening to IP Stories by 4IP Council. Visit our website on 4ipcouncil.eu to find out more and check out the links mentioned during this episode. If you liked it, remember to share and subscribe.